Well, welcome. Hi, how are you, Miss Whitlock? It's time
I'm
for,
doing great. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, honey, and it's time for another 10 minutes of tea with Tam. It is where my guests that will be spilling all the tea today. So I want you to introduce yourself and let everyone out there know who you are, and let them know a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone, or good day, or whatever time you're tuning in. My name is Shari Whitelock. I am an LPN. I've been an LPN for about 10 years, and I have been hopping around all the specialties. My favorite so far has been psych and
Oh,
just health rehab. I try to focus on holistic um medicine and getting away from you know pharmaceuticals as much as I can, but for the most part psych is my favorite, and of course I've kind of dabbled in everything over time.
mm. Well, the reason why I had wanted to send you an invite is because I am in Amy Diane Ellis's exercise class, and she
Okay.
always has ask the nurse or ask the nurse,
Correct.
ask a physical therapist. So I was like, oh, Amy, I think I want to have a nurse on my little 10 minutes of tea. So
Um,
I just wanted to know, like you said, you enjoy psych a lot more. What is it about psych that you seem to enjoy?
so what it is for me when it comes to psychology and the mind is that it is so neglected. We're so overly concerned with our bodies that we don't really think about, the center
Mine,
of the computer, what actually makes everything else,
right,
work. And especially in minority communities. My family is all from the islands. We're all my grandparents, everybody's from Jamaica. So there's this stigma there. It doesn't get addressed there. People don't focus on what's going on with us mentally. It just kind of gets overlooked.
yeah,
And you'll hear people say, oh, they crazy, or they, you don't really, there's more to it. There's always more to it. And it's just been kind of something that we've never focused on until
right.
recently. I've seen it come up a lot, especially with the younger generation. They're starting to get into it more.
And
But
especially with the
for
pandemic had when the pandemic, I think, kind of brought up a lot more issues that I thought a lot of people
right, I
knew or
agree.
thought they had.
I
Yeah,
agree. I agree. That
yeah,
solitude, not having the hustle and bustle to distract us. A lot of people were forced to face themselves and
mm,
what really goes on in their mind when they're alone and when they don't have all this extra stuff going on,
yeah,
social activities and other people to, talk to. It definitely makes you have to sit with yourself and figure out what it is that goes on in your mind and what's happened throughout your lifetime to make you who you are right now.
Well, during my little 10 minutes of tea, I always like to play a little would you rather. And that's just to break up the monotony a
Okay.
little bit, and let people get to know you a little better. So I have just two little questions I would like you to answer. And they're not real big, they're not real deep. So I don't, it's just would you rather. Now, one of the would you rathers is would you rather be in a rock and roll band, a jazz band, or would you rather sing R&B?
Oh, I'm gonna have to go with R&B.
See?
I'm gonna have to go with R&B. I cannot hold a tune. But when I
Oh,
tell you, don't get me down to the karaoke night. Don't get me
oh.
to the
But you think
R&B
you think you Mary
R&B
J. Blige
night.
every now and then? You think you Mary J.
I
Blige?
think so. I'm gonna come. I'm telling you, I'm gonna channel all of them, all the greats.
She said she gonna channel all that.
Everybody. I'm gonna have my moment. I'm gonna have my Sade moment, my Faith Evans moment. I'm gonna just, yeah, all of
Especially,
them.
and don't do no shower moment because you get in the shower, you think you sound like everybody when you
Oh
in the
my
shower. So I
goodness.
know.
And I can't hold a tune, but I'm gonna sing. I'm gonna sing.
Would you say
I'm
I'm
gonna do
going to
it.
sing? Now, before we go back to talking about you being an LP, and I would ask you another one more. Would you rather? Now, this is pretty
Okay.
simple. Would you rather be forced to listen to the same 10 songs on repeat for the rest of your life, or would you be forced to watch 5 movies the same on repeat for the rest of your life? Which one would it be?
I think I would have to go with the same 5 movies.
The movies. Because that music,
Because the
would the music wear you
movie, the music will wear me out. Because if you think about it, that's gonna be this. Each song is about 2 to 3 minutes, and
right?
that's a good 30 minutes, and then you have to relive the same 30 minutes.
You'd
And
be like,
no, with the movies, it's fine because I kind of do that. I'll put the TV on for background noise. I can still read, and I
right,
can still
right,
do other stuff that's gonna,
right. That's true. You
jog
can
my
do a whole bunch of other
imagination.
things.
Right. Yeah. So
Now,
definitely I'll pick the movies. I'll watch the
it's
movies
too
over and
funny.
over.
So I want to watch the movies because that music might drive me a little crazy. Oh, but thank you. I appreciate you doing that for me because I just like to break up the monotony a little bit before we go back
Of
into.
course, of
I
course.
just wanted to ask you, do like you say you found that psych is one area that you enjoy. Is there like another area that you really like to, dive into, or is that just
Psych is one, and I want to say my next favorite would have to be working with the geriatric population, working with the elderly, and just helping them, thrive and, rehabilitate whatever their situation may be, because, you know, I've gone through certain situations with multiple grandparents where the family gets to a point where they're having a hard time. Are we going to keep them at home? What are we going to do?
who's gonna help take
And
care of them? Yes, yes.
exactly. And it's very difficult because everybody has lives and things, So I like to know that there are some families that are relieved when they go home knowing that they've left their loved one in my care. Because
Oh,
I've been in that situation where my grandpa had to go to a rehab for 2 weeks and this and that. And everybody was all worried that he wasn't getting the care that he needed, and that he was, there's situations when their people are a little bit out of touch, that people might abuse them or not really be patient with them. And I feel
yeah.
like, I'm one of the good ones, one of the ones
Yeah.
that actually care. So
They
that,
can trust you. That's a good thing that they can
exactly,
trust you. Yes.
exactly. Because it's hard. It's hard as I can sympathize and I can empathize with the family members because I've been there with my family as well. So it just makes me feel like I'm doing my part when I can help relieve some of those families and help the patient, of course.
So would you recommend, because we have people of color, I don't think we plan ahead, or I
We
don't think
don't.
we look into it as, would you recommend, what would you recommend for us as a people, like when it comes
Hmm.
to our older adults and or
Right.
people dealing sometimes with psych issues as a
Right.
LPN, what what
Hmm.
what would you recommend? One, what would you recommend as for older adults
Hmm.
as to some preparation ahead of time? And
Hmm.
what would you recommend for someone if they're dealing with a patient that might be, you might have a few issues as far as psych issues and that for?
So what a lot of people don't realize in our community is that it starts way before.
Mhm.
It starts when your kids are small. They always say it's how you treat your kids, because that's who's gonna have to take care of you when you get older.
Yeah.
So that same patience that you would want them to exercise with you when you get to a point where you're gonna need their patience,
Mhm.
just growing up, I feel like it's so hard, even seeing my friends that, raising children. I don't have any of my own, but my nephews, my nieces, and seeing their relationships with their parents, it starts from that age. Then
Mhm.
you get up to being an adult, and then that dynamic changing where, sometimes, like, even me in my 30s, my mom, sometimes she want to treat me like a grown up, sometimes she want to treat me like a baby. So just having clear boundaries, clear communication. When you get up to a certain age where you start to have certain medical concerns and conditions, then just making sure that your family is clued in. Even it doesn't have to be everybody, just making sure that there's somebody that's responsible, that you trust. Start writing those wills early, start writing those power of attorneys and those healthcare, everything, just all of
Yeah,
that stuff.
and to make
Insurance
sure that you're, yes,
policies.
and make sure that
Yeah.
those power of attorneys are dual. Dealing with my mother when
Right.
she was ill, to make sure that it's the financial issue, the medical issue, yeah, things of that sort.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely agree. Make sure that they,
Exactly. I have a friend, her mother is actually in her 40s and she's actually planned out and paid for her
mhm,
funeral.
yes,
Because when the time comes, when people are going through the emotional strain of having to lose a loved one and bury somebody, you're not thinking about all that other stuff. Where we gonna find the money?
right,
Where, you know, how
right.
we gonna do this? Who's
Hmm.
gonna be in charge of what? Write that stuff down early. We have a bad habit of just letting things go on, and because a lot of we have big families, a lot of us have big families, not everybody, but I speak for myself when I say I have a huge family and everybody's getting older. I'm looking around. I just took my grandmother to the doctor today, and it's somebody needs to be aware of, and not
Yeah,
everybody has a nurse or a therapist or somebody that knows in their family, but everybody knows somebody. There are resources, educate yourselves, give everybody the same opportunity to know about, what's going on within the family. Don't wait until it's too late.
right. The family
And
dynamic, yeah. Let everybody
yeah,
know what's going on. Keep everybody all on the same page. I do understand
exactly,
that.
exactly. It doesn't take as much, just a quick phone call, or it can be done in an email thread. The same grandma took to the doctor when she actually had cancer a couple years ago, and when that happened, we all kind of just teamed up. We with chemo, the treatment
Right, right.
dates, and who was going for this checkup and who was going to this lab
Mhm,
draw, and who, you just kind of work it out. So
right.
prevention is better than cure. So having those things in place before anything happens, knowing who's going to do what, who's going to make what decisions, it definitely helps.
Now, one thing I do, as you as an LPN, like, what is it that drew you to that path? You like, some people say, well, I always wanted to be a nurse because I'm gonna be honest with you. When I was younger, I used to say it all the time. I think I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
be a nurse when I grow up. I think I'm gonna be a nurse when I grow up. Until I realized about blood and I was like,
That
ooh,
sounds like my mom.
yeah, I
That's
was
my
all
mom.
go.
She was
I
like,
remember
no.
those days. So what is it that made you, dive into that arena?
Right, right. It's definitely something that I feel like a lot of people debate with that whole I want to be a nurse thing, and then they find later down the line that it's really not as glamorous, and
Because
it's
you
a
made it
job
out
where
the
if
bed.
you're in it for the money,
Right.
if it's in there, if you're in it for the money, it's never going to be enough. It doesn't matter if you're the most qualified nurse. It doesn't matter if you're just up. It doesn't matter if you're in it for the money. It doesn't matter how many hours you work, how to eat the
Right.
easiest job, because it's all very taxing mentally, physically. In some way, you're being challenged every
Yes.
day.
Oh,
For
yes.
me, it was the fact that I really, ever since I was a kid, I just have a heart for people.
Oh,
I'm very, like, I can feel people's pain. It makes me so happy, even as a kid, to see somebody get well. I would get so excited if somebody had a common cold or broke a
did
bone or
you say they
something.
feel so much
It
better?
would make me feel better to know that you felt better.
Better.
So,
Right.
you know, I'm definitely getting more out of it than a paycheck. And I've always been interested in the medical field. I just didn't know what I was going to do at first.
Mhm.
And, I have furthered my studies, and I do have a few more classes to take, and then I'll, have a better qualification or a higher qualification. But it's been so rewarding for me just being, a nurse and being
Nurse,
a
yes.
good nurse. And I'm confident in that because I know, beyond knowing what I know and going to a good school and having good teachers and doing really intense clinicals and all the experience that I've had, ultimately I actually care.
Oh,
So it makes a difference for me.
and
Yeah.
you
And
definitely
knowing
and,
that I'm making a difference in the world.
and you definitely have to have. I say you definitely have to have a heart to. Oh, because there's been
For
so many
sure.
things in the news with so many bad nurses and so many bad LPNs or nurses aides, and you definitely have to have a heart
Yeah.
to be
For
able to take
sure.
care of them.
For
Yeah,
sure.
and
For
I
sure.
and
It's
I want to thank you. I want to thank you just for having a gumption to want it. And the reason why I said is because I've had, like you said, I've had family members that have had my son alone. My son was
mm-hmm.
very young when he had cancer, and I have to
Aw.
say he had some of the most excellent people on the oncology floor that,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that cared for him and loved
Mhm.
him, and it was really, it's a beautiful thing. It makes the family feel much better. It makes,
For sure. For
yeah, that
sure.
your loved one is being taken care of. But
For sure.
I do know that or kill us in, oh, Amy wants to kill us in exercise class. Oh God. And I know,
Good.
but I do know that she said that there will be some more, that she will be having some more events with you with Ask a Nurse, little
Absolutely. I look
after
forward
class
to it.
that will be I'll be seeing you again.
For
I
sure.
definitely know that I appreciate you taking the time just to, for my little segments. I've had a boxer, I've had entrepreneur. I said I have a nurse now, so I'll be on the search for some more lovely people out there.
That's
And I
good.
want to
That's
thank you
good.
again one more time for joining
Mhm.
me on 10 minutes of tea with Tam.
Anytime, Miss Tam, anytime. And next time I'll have my cup, so I'll have
Have
my
your
mug
teacup, girl. You
ready.
have your teacup. And
I will. I
well,
will.
are you here within the immediate area? Or you said, because when we talked
So
on the text, you could
I'm
move.
currently in Florida. Right, I'm currently in Florida, but I do still have an active Pennsylvania license, and I will be coming back and forth. So
Oh,
it's just
okay.
based on, family dynamics and what's going on right now. But I can make arrangements. Like I said earlier, I don't have any children. I am very active in my family with, my
Oh,
grandmother, my
okay.
nephews and stuff. But my family is very understanding and accommodating. I'm like, if I gotta go, I
Gotta
gotta
go.
go.
I know that's right. I don't know if you're on any social media sites or anything like that, or is
Mhm.
there anything that like to tell the people before we go, or if there's some way that you might have like some programs or anything. You know what? I think we will when we have another Ask a Nurse. We'll
Mhm.
I'll have some questions that
I'll
maybe.
have all my resources on
Yeah.
there. Absolutely. And I
I
would like
thank
to
you.
extend my gratitude to you as well for doing, what you're doing, because right now awareness is everything, and just talking to people from all walks of life and knowledge is really power.
Yeah.
So just what you're doing is awesome as well, and I need you to
Yeah.
know that.
Oh, thank you. So I want to thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean, I just appreciate you getting on here with me. I always never want to monopolize people's time because I know time is money sometimes. So I don't want to monopolize time. And I thank you, and I thank you, and I hope to see you again soon.
You sure will. Thank you for
Okay.
having me. All
All right. Bye
right.
bye.
Take care, Miss Sammy. Have a good night.